Okay, I'd like to call the work session to order. Start with the pledge. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Beautiful flag.
If I could have the Secretary Treasurer call the roll, please, for our work session. Right here.
Scott Horwitz,
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Bill Pelt, Present. Ed Warner,
Present.
Ann Walker,
Here.
and Bill Parrish.
Present.
All right.
We have a full board.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see everybody. This is our first time having a in-person general work session and general meeting. It's a great feeling to be here. I'm Trustee President Scott Horwitz. This is going to be like my first in-person meeting we're having. Sitting in the seat, right? Which is kind of neat. All right, let's get on with business. We got a long day ahead of us. I do see we have some discussions on. First one by Trustee Pell here, waterfowl code amendments.
We have, Ed and myself have been talking about this for a while, and Rich Franks would like to come up, because he's standing there. We like to, just to tie up some loose ends and on a blue book with the waterfowl.
Yeah, Rich is one of our bay
Bay
constables, and he's in charge of the waterfowl program. He oversees it, helping us and the hunters hunt safely and work towards a good program, which I believe we've established over the time I've been on the board. And it's a good program, so we appreciate all your hard work. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you. Hey, Rich, do you have the list what we want to look at in the public hearing to change? You have that in front of you?
Do you need James to?
Removal of the blinds
That's on off-season
in the off-season.
in certain locations.
Right, and then you want to designate some type of storage area. That was number one. Number two is adding a charge
For inspection.
for, new proposed locations, right?
Right. No, yeah, yes, new.
Right.
Yes. That's when someone finds an area where they
Right.
possibly could have a barn.
Yep. And to renew, I believe, right? There was a processing fee or something like that we discussed. A wait list fee, but
Your wait
I don't
list.
think we were gonna do anything with that. Late renewals, there was something if there's, because we run into the same
Yeah, the 3
issue where
times
a
if
lot
you-
of people,
Yeah, if you're late 3 times in a row,
yeah, you wanted to be able to
then you strike out.
revoke
We
the
usually have the
permit.
same people all the time. It's extra work for the office.
Yep. We also, I brought up the John boat registration like we do for the mooring applications,
Yes.
which I thought was a good idea.
Yeah, that's
Some-
when say a duck hunter goes out and they have a small boat to retrieve the birds they shot. If it gets away from them and we find it, we want to know who it belongs to if they happen to be missing.
Yeah, that's just, it helps us try to locate who the owner is.
Yes.
Because a lot of guys keep a John boat behind the blind, so if the weather kicks up and we find a boat adrift, we want to make sure that nobody's missing. So basically, we do the same thing for the mooring permits, so it's just adding a picture of the John boat with your duck blind application and putting the permit number on the boat, which, for us would be great. What else do we have? Freshwater pond, no. Red Creek. I wrote a ton of notes. Oh, the Cove permittees?
Yeah, the
And, I
co-permittees.
mean, yeah,
Co-permittees.
there's nothing in the regulations for that, because I guess a couple of situations came up this year.
So it clarifies on the on the co-permittees, if one person is the permit holder, he can have a co-permit, but it's up to him to choose who he wants on it, as long as they have a legal hunting permit.
Yeah, I think there was a handful of things that were brought up for that. The other thing was the age requirement,
Yeah, the
I
age
think, right?
requirement in the blue book. I think it might be 16 or 18,
The person has to have a full hunting license, correct?
yes.
Yep.
Valid.
Yeah, they can get that though when they're 14 right
Is
now.
that a junior or that's a?
Yeah, it's a
full?
junior hunting
Well, what about a
license.
full hunting license?
Oh,
Not a junior?
Well, now they changed the regulations, so you're allowed to go with a mentor, but 16 would be regular.
Right, so I think when they're saying a license, I don't think they're referring to a junior license. I think they're referring to a full-fledged license, period.
We just want to
we were
clarify
also-
this.
We were also differentiating between age of the licensee and also age of the registered blind holder. Correct?
I
Well,
forget.
what,
You have to be so.
The age limit was gonna be for whether they can go on the wait list, actually have a blind or have something transferred to them.
Yeah,
You know, because ultimately, they're gonna have to be able to take care of it,
correct.
right? And half the time, we're chasing people around because they don't.
Right.
Not all of them. This year, we only had, I think, 10 or 12 NOVs for the whole, almost 300 blinds, so it's really not that bad.
That's not that bad.
No,
No,
it's
it's
not.
getting
Is this
And,
like the biggest duck blind program that there is in the state that's managed?
Right
like
now,
this?
yeah.
It is?
Yep.
Right, so we're managing the
The
biggest.
county
duck blind
has a program, but they don't have anything close to what,
What we have.
no. Mm-mm. And I don't believe there's anything else in the state of New York that has, registered blinds to this
So,
magnitude.
so if we've only had 10 or 12 NOVs, so.
Usually it's about average every year, like 10 or 12. Last year, we kind of skipped it because of COVID. I mean, everybody was checked and, for the most part, was in compliance. This year, like I said, it's only about 10.
that's good.
And then a handful of people that, if they didn't register, or they don't want it, then you just write a letter and
Yeah,
You
it
know,
goes back into the pool.
it goes back into the pot. I think the wait list has 100 people on it right now, which you could see the interest in a lot of people wanting to go or have their own spot, I guess, so to speak.
Right.
Well, I mean, on that 100-person wait list, we
Yep.
transitioned through quite quickly in the last couple of years.
Yeah, you go through it,
Because a lot of the older families who hunted here had 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 blinds, and they realized that maintaining that many blind positions was not,
Sure.
doable, so they basically have given up some of their locations to
Mm-hmm.
the wait list, which is the whole, spirit of the program.
Right.
I get some new people hunting.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot. A lot of people are into it, so I think that's pretty much what we have right now.
So you've got a bunch of notes I see on your
Yeah.
sheet, and I think what would be
Yeah.
helpful is that since you're administering the program for each of the points I believe Trustee Pellet had,
Yes.
I think it would be helpful if you could kind of distribute that to the Board of Trustees for consideration, because any changes or alterations to a program of this magnitude requires careful consideration.
Sure.
I really would appreciate, your input, the constables, Marine Patrol input
Yeah.
prior to making any
Right.
changes. I think the board needs to have careful consideration. That'd be
Yeah.
helpful.
And
Yeah.
that way we can have a public hearing on this stuff.
Right.
Stuff
Definitely
has to
gonna
be-
require a public
Yeah, all this stuff has to be vented to a public hearing because we have to change the. blue
Yeah,
book.
you'll have to discuss it, obviously, as a board first.
Yes.
Yes.
And then pick and choose what you want to do, like, you guys make the rules, we just enforce it, so really, me personally, I think the program is managing great on its own. There is a couple of things that if you guys choose to decide, hey, listen, we want to do A, B, and C,
Right.
then we'll have to do that.
Since you're in the
You know?
field, I think it would be helpful if you could just provide us what the pro and con is to each
Sure.
one of those items. That way, if you're seeing something from the field that we're not seeing from here, we'll make a better decision.
Right.
Yeah, I think, Richie, once you submit your list of recommendations that you've talked over with Trustee Pell and yourself, we can comment on them and get them back to you and.
Yeah, because
that up, and then
I
we
think
can-
to put all these things for a public hearing would be monumental.
Right.
So you'd have to obviously go through it and figure out what you want to
Which
do.
is that-
What's more important to you as the board?
Yeah.
You know, is it having the blinds removed? Is it charging somebody? Is it, you know, the John boat thing? That's easy. That doesn't have to be a public
The
hearing.
age is pretty easy.
You know, the age requirement's easy. That just coincides with the state DEC.
But the
know.
removing the blinds is very important because, in certain areas, because as knows, like, I know there's a couple of spots where I spoke to you, the blinds are up on the marsh, and they're falling apart.
Right.
And then probably the people won't look at them until next fall, right
Right.
before hunting season. So the neighbors and the people who are paddling board and,
Sure.
or out in the boat's gonna see this crap
Right.
laying on the marsh.
Well, the other thing that you brought up at the meeting that we had, which was a good idea, was the requirement at low tide underneath the floating dock.
Yeah,
You know, a guy has
So do
a
you-
house, he can't put in a permit because he doesn't
Yeah.
have enough water behind his house for a permit,
yes.
for a floating dock, but the blind sits behind his house all season, so I think that in itself probably would be your best bet.
Yes, that, and
You
also,
know.
you know, when you moor a boat, we require insurance, just in case something happens.
Well, yeah, we have that.
And the same thing on the mooring, on the duck blinds, we don't require that.
No, no,
Yeah,
they're,
he
they're
knows
held,
they break
we have a
rules.
letter though, right? Isn't there a hold harmless or something in your
Yeah.
permit that you sign that says you're liable for any damages or whatnot?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
the same thing for the mooring
Yeah,
permits.
the only time you're really gonna have an issue is if you get a hurricane or a severe storm
Storm.
on that category, which we have in the past, and some of the blinds did break loose.
Yep.
So protecting our asset and the hunter's asset also, and,
Sure.
you know, and the liability of it is important for us.
All right,
Could we just add one more thing to that list under the co-permittee section?
yep,
There was an issue this fall with the removal, or over the past couple of years, with the removal of the co-permittee. If we could just discuss that, as to how to proceed with that, because there's nothing in the blue book that specifically.
yeah, that's why,
says
yeah,
it.
the part with the co-permittee, putting in rules and obligations,
And the removal.
and the removal of somebody, you know, basically, like we spoke, I said the person that had the blind previous, that's had it for, let's say, 20-plus years, you know, obviously, they would make the call,
yes.
you know, but they did come to a meeting, right, and they just,
Right,
oh,
so
they
maybe-
sent the letter and
So
it
there
got
needs-
worked
There
out?
needs to be a primary and
Yeah,
secondary.
you don't, the only thing we don't have in there really is for the main applicant and a co-permittee person that they sign on.
So you need like a primary and secondary.
Right, exactly. And then who would make the call? Like, there's a
Well-
falling, like this year, we had guys had a falling out.
Right, so that you'd have to
So
designate somebody straight
The
out.
blind went into suspension for the meantime while they hashed it out, so,
I think that's an attorney call, too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So we'll sit, we'll come.
I'll put Mark on the,
Yeah,
on the permit, on the email.
Throw Mark
with-
right into the skillet his first day.
Yep.
By the way, let's welcome Mr.
yes.
Mark McRedmond here. He is our new Assistant Town Attorney representing the trustees, so
Happy to have him.
trial by fire right here.
Yeah, yeah, good luck.
hope you have a long, hope you have a long tenure on this board.
Right in the
With this
skillet.
board, yeah.
Right in the
Yeah.
skillet.
But, yeah, that's it, though, so I'll send an email to everybody, then you discuss it
Yeah,
and figure out what you want to do. This is coming off a meeting that I had with Billy and Jess,
Yes,
right, so there's point people on.
probably about a couple weeks ago.
Right, so there's liaisons to everything, and then the full board makes a decision, but someone
Sure.
has to take the lead on
Yep.
being the point person. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Jessica,
No
did
problem.
did you email the stuff around once before?
Which, for the waterfowl?
Yeah, to the, each trustee got an email from Jessica about a month ago on the same subject.
Yeah, I think we had all the
Right.
topics listed, right?
Right,
Yes.
but I think what we'll need is your additional
up to date.
commentary.
I'll give you our input,
That's what I
and
want.
then we'll go from there.
Yeah, just put them in order of priority.
Sure, yeah.
Because, I mean, I know, looking
There's
at,
there's a lot, so.
while looking at the email, and I remember the last duck blind, public
Oh,
hearing we
yeah.
had.
Yeah.
It was pretty spirited.
Intense. Yes, it was.
So,
Spirited, to say the
and I
least,
think,
yeah.
like you say, I don't think it's all going to be done in one public hearing. I
No.
think I could see several, and, and that's the way the program was set up,
Right.
to evolve.
Right, yeah, so I would say, commentary on each and a prioritization from your perspective in the field.
Yeah, what would be,
Okay.
best suited, probably.
And then the board can
Yeah,
use
yeah.
that to factor into the decision-making process, I think would be good.
All right, no problem.
Thanks, Rich.
You got it.
Yep,
Good day.
you too, have a good day.
All right, trustee Pell, you have another one on.
Yes, Lake Agawam. Hey, Jessica, did you print those stuff out?
Didn't get a chance to. I emailed it around to everybody. I printed out one copy, though.
Okay.
We'll file.
Yeah, appreciate it. They went good, right?
What are we talking about? We're
This is-
talking about the stewardship agreement?
Yes. Like Agawam Conservative would like to take over the maintenance of the rain garden, which they installed a few years ago. I think it's a good idea, and
Now, Billy, when you say maintenance of the rain garden, there's a lot of different aspects to that. There's the physical plantings and yearly spring and
do-
fall cleanup.
they
There's
do the whole thing.
There's the striping of the lines on the parking lot.
We would do the striping, they would
And-
just do the plants.
And then there's the guardrails that are, the wooden guardrails that are all.
We would do the guardrails.
Okay, so I'm,
They just want to do the plants.
I think
Yep.
there's a proposal for us to look at that we just
Yeah.
got, right,
Can send that down tomorrow.
Mark?
Is that?
It was emailed today.
Today?
Yeah.
So,
I just got it like an hour ago, then I sent it around.
right, I appreciate that.
I didn't even have a chance to look at it myself.
Right, so I think that we should put this on for the next meeting, 'cause this way the
Yeah.
trustee board gets the opportunity to review the document, so, you want to push this off to the next meeting?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
well, on top of that, I'd like to have a discussion about the wooden guardrails and getting a cost proposal for them to be replaced, because I don't think they're gonna make it through the summer.
No, we've been replacing them a little bit at a time.
Yeah, but I looked at it last week, and it looks
Yeah,
like the
it's,
whole entire project has to be redone.
Yeah, it'd be very costly to do the whole thing at one time, but we might be able to do it because instead of taking the money what we put aside to do the maintenance.
Yeah.
We can use that money to put a new fence up.
Yeah, there was a resolution when trustee Havermeyer was on the board for maintenance of the rain
Yeah,
garden for
$10,000.
$20,000 a year.
Yeah.
So there is a pool of money that should be set aside every year for that.
Where is this pool of money? I don't think, I'm not so sure about that.
Well,
Let's-
it's in the general
It's
fund.
in the general
Oh,
fund.
it's in the town's general fund?
No, it's in our general
In
fund.
our general fund.
Is when we
Okay,
receive
all right,
the
we'll
revenues.
we'll take a
Yeah.
look at that. Everything's
Yeah,
changed.
yeah.
Slow down, slow down. Let's do this. Let's review it. Let's take a look at it. If we're gonna engage in repairs, let's
We have to
follow
get a
the
price
town's-
on it,
Let's
yeah.
follow the procurement policy
And
of
see
the
if the
town.
maintenance crew can do some of it. They've been
Right.
doing patching it.
Right, let's do that. Let's tread methodically here. What else do you have? You got 2022 oyster dredging mecox.
Yes, we've been doing this the last 3 or 4 years. Ed knows a lot about this. It's basically, we opened the last month of the season in Mecox instead of tonging for oysters, you can use dredging. It's very good because it breaks up the oyster shells, breaks up the clots where the oysters grow together, and actually enhance the growing of the oysters. And we've been, last couple of years since we've been doing it, the oysters down there have been growing very good down there. The price is up on them, believe it or not, they tell me. And I think that we should let them do it again.
And
There is a
there
limit
was-
on it.
And there was a request from the
The-
president of the
yeah, the
Southampton
president,
Town
yes.
Women's Association.
They do it
to
every
this
year.
Once again.
So I think Ed, you want to put any input on it?
I mean, I want to make it clear, I am a harvester. I do oyster down there. I have been doing it for many, many decades, yes, not centuries, but, and just marketability of these oysters when you do dredge them over, and in the next season, they're nice flat oysters. And what happens is when you dredge, you break up a lot of the shell and make substrate on the bottom, which is clutch for the juvenile oysters to set on. So it serves as multiple purposes. It allows you to get a better product to sell, and also more environment for the juvenile oysters to set on. So, I mean, and there's a quarter of Mecox is uncertified, which has a huge oyster population, so you're never gonna over-harvest the amount of oysters are in there, or, it's a sustainable, resource when we do this.
As long as we keep the inlet open. and
Yes,
Keep the water in and
well,
out.
that's
Keep good water
the
quality.
biggest thing with
That's the biggest
Mecox,
thing, right?
Billy, and everybody, is if that inlet is not maintained properly with dredging and proper salinity, we're gonna look at probably, a few $1 million, or if not $10 million worth of shellfish dying down there. And we've been fighting with the state, I believe, about 5 years to get our maintenance permit, at which time we will not have to come on emergency authorization to dredge this inlet. Every time we start with the emergency authorization, the salinity is down almost to single digits, which is perilous for the oysters and the other shellfish and some of the fish in there. And it could be a total environmental disaster, because I was not on the board, but I do remember when all the oysters did die in there one year, when we had 17 inches of rain, and basically this pond zeroed out to salinity of 0, which caused the oysters to die off in there. And through the Baymen's Association and Cornell, we restocked the oyster population to where it is today. So, it's imperative that we get this dredging permit, and we're allowed to open the inlet when we need to open it, not when the DEC gives us a permit and feels that it's time to let us open, because we've supplied enough information to the emergency,
Right, but I think this discussion's about the oyster dredging.
Yes.
Right.
Right, so
Yes.
that's just to bring it back to where we're at, and I think
So-
we're in agreement with that.
Yes, we're all agreement.
Yes,
We'll have a
for sure.
resolution
Right, so
on
we'll-
it.
And just
this
to point
afternoon.
out, even though the salinity has been lower in a sustained period of time, that according to the reports of the commercial harvesters, the oysters are healthy and the meat in them is plump, even though the taste may not be what one would wish because the salinity is not as high. So, but it would be a great idea to allow them to proceed
Right,
with
so
dredging for the month of
I
April.
think we're all in agreement. with
Yes, and we have a resolution for this afternoon on this.
Good.
And the next one is Conscious Point Shellfish. If Mark and Chris wants to come up. They want to talk about renewing their agreement with us and also about adding kelp to it. You have the floor.
Nice to be back.
Do you want to
can sign
introduce
in.
yourselves and sign in? you guys?
Mark Matthews, I'm the president of Conscious Point Shellfish. Chris Lienza here is the shellfish manager. He's been with us a couple of years. He's exactly what we need. No gray hair, lots of energy.
Lots of hair.
Yeah. I happen to have known his father for the last 30 years too, so this is nice. But basically, we wanted to just say that thanks to the Historical Museum and your permits and your particular help, we've done well. The oysters grow, the clams grow, and the bay scallops are growing. So we've got a nice crop of bay scallops that we're going to bring up when the water gets warm, and it's going very well. And the next thing we thought we would do is, since it seasonally works so well in our North Broad area, we thought we'd experiment with kelp. We tried a little this past fall, didn't do that well, but we still want to get it on our list of activities so that we can legitimately continue to experiment and grow with it. So that's really where we are.
It would be sugar kelp that you're
Yes, yes,
growing,
yeah.
so in the non-seasonal time, so.
That's exactly right. It's a perfect marriage, so that's why we're looking to do it.
Great. Do you have any thoughts of what you would do if it's what you would do with it? If it's
Well,
a
there's a
healthy crop?
whole industry that's asking the same question and working on the answer. So we're baby steps. So,
Grow first
yes, that's
and harvest?
before we worry.
Right.
I don't want to
Jump
not
around.
grow it because there's no market today. That's ridiculous. We need to learn how to do these things well.
Right. I just know in East Hampton, I believe it's, I'm struggling with the name of the company right now. You probably know. But they're working towards using it as fertilizer
Yes.
at this point. So
It's
it's great, right?
exactly. This is very promising.
How long have you been in operation?
8 or 9 years, yeah,
You've been the president how many years?
the whole time.
The whole time?
And we're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we have a terrific board of directors, and we have a lot of volunteers that come in during the summer. I think we had 17 different volunteers. We have
You have an educational component as well.
I was about to say that a big part of what we try to do is to make whoever is interested aware of what's out there, what it was like before, what it can be again. And we are involved with Greg Metzger at the high school now, and we have an intern who just started. She comes in, 3 days a week?
Yep.
3 days a week, and gets paid $20 an hour. And that frankly is via a largesse of someone who came to visit this summer, said, listen, I want to do something to help. So here's 10 grand. We'll do it every year. Get some interns in here. It'll help you do your work. And so this is the kind of interest we're getting and support we're getting, and it's great.
And plus, yeah, before, we should say thank you to these guys because they donate a tremendous amount of clams and scallop seed, what we put in the, around in the different creeks. I went out with them the last couple of years.
Well, you have more than a couple of years still.
Yeah.
But this is part of what we do.
Oh, yeah, the last
Every
8 years.
oyster's a good one, so we grow them from the beginning to the market, but we also always donate to the town. Because
You do?
we want to keep it going.
You've literally grown and reseeded millions of shellfish, which,
Yes.
you know, we applaud you. I mean, I'm a, commercial Bayman shellfish harvester, and, there were times where some of the creeks in harbor were, kind of slim on the shellfish. You've managed to reseed them, introduce new strains of stock in there. When you grow oysters, you get a new strain every time, and that makes the oysters stronger, more resilient to diseases. And, moving forward, I'd love to get some of your oysters and put them in meacox, because those oysters are almost in the bathtub. So a new strain in there would make them,
We can certainly
yeah.
end up with some good-sized oysters to put out there.
Yeah, you do a wonderful job,
Glad to
and,
do it, yeah.
and our board really likes working with your group, because, paperwork and permits and everything is well in order, so, it's,
So, thank you, and we've just begun.
yep.
The important thing, too, is that you all are helping to preserve our limited working waterfront at this point by keeping Huntington Point as a working waterfront area. So that's great. Do you have a CSA, a community? You do.
We do, and it doubles every year.
So-
It's just wonderful.
Community-supported aquaculture?
Aquaculture, that's
So-
exactly right, and we love it, because people who like oysters, they can come get them every Saturday morning. The fallout is, some people just come out and join us and volunteer to learn about it, or their kids come out to do it. A little story is this 40-year-old guy came to pick up his oysters, and then his 17-year-old son wanted to go out and join us. He had such a good time, he said, can I bring my brother next week? I said, if he's anything like you, yes. He did. And the weekend after that, he brought his grandfather. So everyone's learning, out there getting wet, getting dirty, and learning about what's real. So
Great.
It's fun.
we have a great time.
Let's continue in the maritime heritage of our town, which is one of the duties that the trustees are responsible for, and you're helping us with it, so, thank you.
Very inspiring, Mark.
So what
Now-
would be cool is if you could renew this for 5 years, so they don't have to just keep coming back.
That's, historically,
We'd like
we've
to
been
see you.
doing it
Yeah.
annually.
We'll come see you, or you come see us.
Historically, we've been doing it annually, but the proposal this year was to do a 5-year. Perhaps we could do a 5-year, but with an annual report or update.
That would be useful, I think.
Or something, yeah, we'll talk about it.
So,
We'll talk about it.
I know I had conversations with one of the other board members, and being that we're a 2-year elected term, a 5-year permit might be problematic with a new board. We're going to visit with an attorney to make the terms longer. I don't know how that's all going to work out, but I know, I understand the paperwork and everything, but I mean, my thought would be a 2-year permit that would go by the current board and every year renew it. But maybe moving forward, we can expand on that.
There's logic to that. I understand.
Yeah.
You can't give approvals to the future board members.
You don't want to lock another board in.
Yeah, I understand.
It could be like, whatever the attorney says, like 2 years.
All
We're
right, well,
locking in two
let's
more.
do that, and let's amend the application to 2 years.
Two and a two?
And let's turn around as soon as you can, because I need to get it to Wade Garden.
No,
So
we,
what's your due date on that? What's
Now.
Okay.
January 1st, actually. I mean, things got backed up a little
Okay.
bit.
So, Mark,
For other
I
reasons.
don't know if you had a chance to look at the agreement?
Trustee Parrish, did you look at the agreement?
I looked at the agreement. I just think there should be some information on there as far as your identification. Have your name on the
Previously, it
the
has.
agreement. Yeah, this is just, what I've seen is just the one page. But everything you've said sounds fantastic. I'd like to come and visit and see
Every
for
weekend, we
myself.
have a volunteer day.
So can we walk this on for him?
It's already on for
But for-
1 year, so you just have to amend
So
it.
we'll amend it,
for
we'll
2
amend it on the
years.
floor and we'll get it taken care of.
yes. And I have been in correspondence with Wade, so he knows what's going
Yeah,
on.
good, thank you. I wrote to him as well.
Yeah, we're all working together, yep.
So we'll take care of it immediately.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Mark.
Thank
you.
you.
guys. Nice to see you. Take good
Thank you.
care.
Yep. Maybe I'll come down one of these weekends and help out.
Good.
Hey, Mark,
Yes.
Bill said that we can put it up for 2 years, automatic renew for another 2 years.
Yeah, we report back in 2 years,
Okay.
something like that.
So
So,
make it easy, so you don't have
so,
to come in here.
so amend the next resolution that we have. I think it's for the
All it is
afternoon meeting.
paperwork.
Right, so just amend the resolution, pass the resolution, issue him his paperwork.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yes, thank you so much, and thanks again for donating
Thank
all your
you.
time and oysters.
Thank you. Trustee Warner, you have a discussion here.
Yes, I have enlisted InterScience to get proposals from a local, basically engineer on 3 boat ramps that we have, Conic Road, Corwin Lane, and Mill Creek boat ramp, all of which are in dire need of repair. I don't know if, I tried circulating them around 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately, my iPad and other stuff was not workable.
Technology issue.
Yeah, well, town issue. But I have them now, and I did send them to you, Scott, yesterday, I believe. But I would like to send them to the rest of the board for their review and comments, so that we can move forward on fixing these 3 launching ramps.
Good.
We have increased the fees over the last couple of years, and I'd like to put some of that money directly back into the structures that we
The
own.
the launching ramps.
I think that's a great idea, Ed, because with the price of boat slips and more people out here, more people are using ramps
Yeah.
with the launch their watercraft.
Okay, so let's look at all the paperwork and documentation,
Yep.
and we'll move methodically
Move
based
forward.
on that.
Yep.
But they definitely need repair, and we gotta
Yes,
get on that.
A lot of them do, more than 3.
Okay,
Well, those are the ones I picked.
well, yeah, it's gonna get,
Yeah.
it's gonna get
We do
constrained
3
by budget.
yeah.
Yep.
We do some this year and some the following year.
Good. Very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
so let's go
Thanks, Ed.
to, thanks. Trustee Welker.
Sure. Mike, would you like to come forward? This is, well, Mike Sunlenski for the applicant, and you can sit right here, introduce yourself and sign in, please. This is a pre-application discussion for 70 Cobb Road. James, if you don't mind bringing,
Yeah.
oh, you
Got
did?
some maps.
Oh, it's great, thanks.
Everyone, good morning, everyone.
You want them stamped in?
It's just a,
You know, you used to sit over there.
I was just gonna say,
gotta stamp
I was
it
just
in.
gonna say to Mr. McRedmond, welcome aboard, having sat in that seat more than once. I think you'll find your time with the trustees interesting, because there's always, there's always something going on. To the other members of the board, Michael Sinlensky Law Firm, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York. Coming to the board, I had a brief discussion with the president in regards to this property. My client recently purchased this property that's labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. He purchased all 4 of the properties. Lot 1 is an agricultural property. Lot 2 is a residential property. Lot 3 is a partially preserved and partially developable parcel. And Lot 4 is obviously a developed parcel. The family that owned this prior to my client purchasing it at the end of last year used it together as one compound. The father owned one of the houses, the son owned one of the other house, and they used it together as a together as a family. My client has intentions of breaking apart and selling Lot 4 as a separate entity and keeping lots 1, 2, and 3 for himself. The issue that comes up with that is, whereas when the previous family used it all together as one family, there is only one dock that's on Lot 4, and they use that together for all 4 properties. With that lot being sold, my client is interested in getting another lot, getting another dock for his personal use for when the property is sold. We're well aware this board has a general one lot, one dock rule. And that's why we're coming to the board, because ideally, whereas we could try to take access from Lot 3, which is another waterfront lot, it would be beneficial to my client to take it off of Lot 4. It's our intention that we're going to take an easement over this portion of the property here.
Can you turn it around?
Yeah, sure. Sorry. So we're going to take an easement over this portion of the property here, and we would like to put a dock in here to provide access out to the main bay. So that's what we're coming for. We do have, we would like to do it that way to avoid having to go through a subdivision process where we have to then provide, reconfigure the lots to provide access to the water to give us a as of right, dock in front of this board. So that's what we would like to do is actually place another dock in this cove, in this cove area here. We understand that would, be violative of your one dock, one property rule, but we'd be willing to, covenant or make an agreement with the board that we would strip away any rights to have docks on properties 1, 2, or 3, if we're allowed to have that second dock on Lot 4.
So 2 questions. One, could you speak to the fact that this has been done previously on the Lot 2 just to the west?
So the lot to the west, I believe, actually has a covenanted walk-through area. If you look at GIS, there is a pathway that comes here and provides access for this lot here. This lot here has this dock here and takes access to this dock here.
So it's not an easement, it's a covenant?
It's not an easement. It's actually, if you look at GIS, there's actually a strip that comes down to that.
Okay. So this would be different?
So, but this has been done in other places within the town, a couple other places, and I can provide that to the board, as we move forward.
Hey, Mike, do you know if the dock, what they have on Lot 4 is up to date on or permitted?
We're going through that process now, where we're getting an updated CO and closing out permits.
Yeah, I think it's quite large. I can't say for sure, but I never really looked at it. But it doesn't look like we would ever permit anything what they have there.
And there's a bunch of rocks down in the wetlands and water there that I don't know where they came from, but
I don't think those rocks are there anymore.
they were there 2 weeks ago.
And as I said, I don't think those rocks are there anymore.
I won't say anymore because I was down there
Yeah.
planning, so.
I don't think they're there.
Okay.
I think they were a remnant of the previous owner.
Yep.
And we're trying to restore that.
Are you gonna remediate the wetlands and the?
Yes,
Okay,
we're in the process of getting an updated
Yeah.
certificate of occupancy with the town for the property.
yeah, but you do realize that shoreline is exposed to Mecox Bay, where 10 years ago, that bit of land was completely closed off, and we used to dredge a channel in a different area, so that, you might take in consideration on how you revegetate it and, maintenance of it, because it takes quite a beating during an easterly wind there.
Right, and I think that's why the previous owner may have had those rocks,
Yep.
at the location.
I mean, obviously, work with the board on, whatever plan or ideas that you have relative to that remediation. I think you did speak to council about this as well.
We did, I had, not
Well,
Mr.
I think it was Mr.
Uh,
Cambridge prior, but I don't know if.
But I did speak to Mr. Cambridge prior and to the town attorney. We had a discussion about this.
He was going to come in and address it as well, but I think he just got sidetracked.
Yeah, I believe he's tied up in a deposition today.
Yes.
I just wanted to tell the board that's what we're intending to do before we move forward with the process and spend the money of developing plans. That's our intention, and we'll obviously work with council to move forward and make whatever application the board deems necessary.
Hey, Michael,
Yep.
do you know if there's any coverage about cutting a path through this?
There's lots of covenants there. So there's covenants, there's lots of covenants on this property, on properties 1, 2, 3, and 4, dealing with the Peconic Land Trust. And we're going to,
And will they let you make a path through that?
we'll be working with them on that. They're looking for certain changes to the ag piece, and we'd be looking to them to work with us on lots 3 and 4 to fix some easement issues that exist on the properties.
And also, would you be interested in having lot 1, 2, and 3 have a community dock? We did that in other neighbors, so you would have 3 slips.
Yes, that's what we'd
what
be
you
looking
want?
for. Yes.
And would you be also willing to put up, say, 1, 2, 3 osprey poles? One on
We could.
one on lot 3, one on lot 4, then one down over on the, where you want to put the floats.
We could definitely talk to the client about that. I'm sure that they would.
That would be a good trade-off for the environment and for us, because we're big on osprey poles this year.
Yeah, one of the issues that we do run into, I know in Ramsonburg and Spankin, I don't know if you remember your Fish Cove, is that some of the property owners did have an easement across the piece of property. It was only 10 foot, so it wouldn't allow them theoretically to get a dock because you would need 10-foot setbacks on each side of that dock in order to be compliant with our regulations, and I believe the Army Corps is 15 feet. So if you were going to do some kind of an easement, you'd have to go with a walking trail, and the easement that would be on the water would have to be
Like a wide.
wide enough to accommodate a dock and the setbacks, which I've seen in, on Gardner's Lane in Hampton Bays. There's a property there that was basically granted a dock similar to what you're requesting, but they had some more footage on the bay.
Yeah, there's if you look at a property 4 that has a tremendous
Yeah.
tremendous frontage on the water, and we can configure it to meet that requirement. Where we control all 4 properties now, and what we're doing is we're planning for the alienation of the alienation and selling of lot 4, and the maintaining of lots 1, 2, and 3, by the client.
Are they going to keep 1, 2, or 3, or are they going to spin off?
No, they're going to keep 1, 2, and 3. One is going to be developed into an orchard,
Okay,
and then 2 and 3 are going to be used as the residential piece.
okay,
Sounds like quite the project.
yes.
It is. It's a pretty large undertaking, but my client's wants to be a good steward of the land, and that's why the one agricultural piece that's planted now is purely grass. And we look forward. Our first stop was here. Our next stop will be with the Peconic Land Trust to discuss with them that ag easement and actually bring it into ag production. Going forward as a piece.
Yeah, just one other thought is, 3 is a, waterfront piece of property. You might want to do a bathymetric survey of the water depths in that area and the other proposed area. And wherever the deepest water would acquire a dock, I think you would have the least amount of resistance.
Right.
It might be more wetlands on number 3 going to it.
I'm just,
Right.
giving a.
It's very wet.
option.
Yeah, lot 3 is very wet over there. So the preferable piece would be to come off of lot 4.
Be less
But we have
damage.
looked at that as an option.
Okay.
But it may be deeper there. That's
Yeah,
what
I'm
you're
just,
saying.
I'm just saying that the water depth would accommodate a float versus just a regular stick dock
So-
or catwalk.
So this is pre-application discussion, so let me look at Mr. McRedmond here. What is our next step here? Submits formal application, do you have something to add? I know Sean was transferring knowledge to you.
No, on this, I have nothing to add. I understand where we stand on it, and I guess going to move forward with the application process.
Right, so take the commentary from the board, perhaps, and,
Probably the application would come after the subdivision happens.
Yeah, we're not gonna subdivide, it's just gonna be the filing of a covenant, but we'll work with Mr. Cambridge and Mr. McRedmond.
Right.
To get the proper application in front of the board
Okay.
to effectuate all
yeah.
this.
I know he's had meetings already with the town attorney's office, and I think we're at a bit of a disadvantage that, you know, Mr. Cambridge couldn't be here right now, because he was already, you know, had some continuity and discussions going on from the legal aspects of this.
It's fine, the good part about the town attorney's office, I've always found, is they're always willing to pitch in and help. I'm sure Mr. Cambridge is not gonna leave Mr. McRedmond out on a limb.
No.
so.
So you've got the commentary from the board, let the transition occur, and then we'll move to whatever the next step is here, so that the board can continue with its due diligence.
Great.
Just to itemize a couple things, it would be super helpful if you were to have a list of where this has been done in the town
Sure.
prior. I know there's an example over on Dune Road in Bridgehampton, on the north side of Dune Road, also on Mecox.
Right.
So that would be helpful. And then just to underline Trustee Pell's concerns about the existing dock on property number 4. If we could look at both the permit and what has been done there closely, and just make sure that the new owners will be clear as to the limits and restrictions on the use of that dock, that would be of paramount importance.
We will. Obviously, we wanna be in compliance.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Take
you
care.
again.
Okay. Now we have fish trap bike applications for determination. Linnea, are you gonna?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Linnea.
Linnea.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Going fishing?
What is that?
You going fishing with all these traps?
Oh, yeah, totally. You know me. All right, so Joseph D. Adams, he applied for 5 new fish trap wolf pike spots. I'm gonna start with FT 373.
Put them up. Do we have recommendation from the constables on these?
Yes, I did speak with Al and Rich. I emailed them, and they both gave their approval. Rich said everything looks good, pending trustee final approval.
Okay. I thought so, too.
So the first spot is located in the water body of Quag Canal.
East Ocean Ave.
Yeah, east. It's at the east of Ocean Ave. It's off of Quag Field Club. This is his GPS location. If you guys would like to look here.
I already looked them.
Yeah, I looked at
Yeah.
them as well, yeah.
Okay,
And there's no other traps near these traps?
that I am not too sure of.
No, but-
No, I
because
don't
we
know.
haven't-
I just had to ask that question.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna interfere with anything. any of
No,
these.
it's out of the navigable channel, it's very shallow there, and it's, it's an appropriate pace.
That's
I
what
believe
I
it's
thought.
gonna be a fike, not a trap.
Yes, it's a fike.
And these are seasonal.
Yes, yes, they are seasonal.
Probably catch a lot of fish over there.
All right, I'm going to move on to the next one, if that's okay with you
Yep.
guys. All right, so FT 374, this is located in Mr. Parrish's area. Sorry, apologize. That's located at Quanatuck Creek in Queog. It's at the end of Point Bulkhead Shore. And this will be a fike as well. And here is where he was able to pinpoint it on his map and his application, if you guys would like to look.
It's up further, James, north.
Up further, it's at the point of,
Right
yeah,
there.
right there.
It's actually,
Can you
Yes, I was
turn on the
talking
lighter
about with
of
the
the
dock.
traps and pipes? In the legend.
Okay,
all right.
we good with that?
Yeah.
All right, moving on
We always,
to,
we always refer to our resident trustee Warner here, right?
Yeah.
Liaison to commercial fishing.
So the next one's FT 375. This is in Mr. Horowitz area. It's located in Penniman Creek. It is also a Fike, and it is in the hamlet location of Quogue. So it's southwest of Penniman Point Road.
I'm fine with that.
That's good.
FT 376, also in Mr. Horowitz's area. It is located in Shinnecock Bay / Phillips Creek. And it's at the end of Old Point Road. It's also a Fike.
I'm good with that. You good with that? I don't see any issue with that.
Hey, Ed, maybe you could just, for the people who are watching, just describe what a fike, the length of it, how deep of water. You could, please.
A fike is a apparatus that is usually 3 to 4 round hoops with a net shroud over it. And it's usually about anywhere from about 50 feet to about 200 feet long. There's a series of, a leader and stakes that are on the inshore end and the offshore end to anchor it. And it's usually predominantly used for catching eels and perch in these areas. And it's completely submerged under the water. The only thing you would see would be a cork or a buoy that would be attached to it to pull up the tail or cod end where the fish are basically worked down in, and then you roll the fish in the boat. It's a very simple, old way of catching fish.
Really old,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It
It's
does
used
get-
a lot in Europe and the North Sea.
As old as
for
this
eels.
board.
Probably older, because the Indians used
What
it.
are the bite catches, horseshoe crabs, and what else?
I mean, you might catch a horseshoe
Catch
crabs.
horseshoe crab by catch.
Horseshoe crab, or you might catch spider crabs, probably spider crabs and blue crabs in this area. Of eels and flounders and perch, and some fluke, depending on the season you set it, so.
But the nets would be, or the Fike would be checked every,
Usually you check them every day.
right.
And,
So-
and it's, it's a passive way of fishing. Whatever you don't want basically is undersized and not markable, you throw back because it's alive, and you'd only take and keep what is permitted and, legal as far as, the fisheries regulations.
So there's no mortality then to horseshoe crabs
No,
or to blue claws?
No, there's very little,
With this
there's very little
method.
mortality. And if you were to catch them and it was a season for either of the above, you'd be able to keep them within certain limitations of quantity.
Okay.
Awesome. So the last one for Joseph Adams is located in Mr. Horowitz's area again. It's in Quanatuck Bay, at the end of Quanatuck Lane. It's also a Fike. And the Bay Constables did approve this one as well.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
So we could have the resolutions available for the March 21st meeting if
That's
you
good.
guys all approve.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
for that.
Yeah,
Linnea.
of course, thank you guys.
Linnea.
And thanks for standing in.
Oh, no
While
worries.
James was out, Linnea.
Oh, sorry.
Great
Thank you.
job. Great
Appreciate
job.
that.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, so let's go on to the general permit applications for determination. Is anybody here from Shoreline Bulkheading?
I think we got an email from Kristen. Let me see what it says here.
She says she got updated plans from the draftsman, sent them in by mail to your office with a revised cover sheet. She's not gonna make it to the meeting today. She wants to be scheduled for the next.
She wants to be scheduled for the next work session?
Yes.
She sent today, so.
She just sent that
Yeah,
today?
this morning, like an hour ago.
Okay, that's what she wants, that's what we'll do. Moving right along. We've got Burns Realty Management, and is anyone here from Land Use? Come on up.
Hey, good morning. Would you like me to sit here or should I go to the
You could sit here if you want and sign in, it's fine with me.
Thank you.
The work session, getting the nuts and bolts of things here.
Yes,
You have two with me, actually.
yes.
We got Burns Realty Management at 15 Bay View Drive, Village of Quogue. And then we've got 35 Ogden Lane East LLC, which is 35 Ogden Lane, Village of Quogue. So if you want to take care of both of those.
Yes, correct. They both are maintenance dredging applications for existing boat basins in the village of Quogue.
Did you introduce yourself?
Dan Hall, Land Use Ecological Services.
Thanks.
And 15 Bayview Drive. It's approximately 200 cubic yards to be dredged. And for 35 Bayview, 35 Ogden, approximately,
Maybe do one at a
Yeah,
time.
just do
That
like-
might-
Okay.
That's a little clearer.
okay. The only reason these are connected is because the disposal site is the same.
Exactly.
The owner, Mr. Burns, owns both properties, and he actually owns a property to the west of 15 Bayview Drive. And that's a vacant piece of property at the moment, and it's already cleared and has a silt fence up in that area.
Right.
And that's where he's proposing to put the dredge spoil. It's actually a pretty large area, so the grade is not even going to change substantially, if at all, less than a foot, I would think.
Right, well, this application for the dredging is fine with me. I mean, it has to be done. And the fact that you've, taken care of something that's very difficult in the area to take care of, and that's the spoil site, is huge that you have.
Yes, it worked out well in this particular case.
Have you gone through other agencies yet for those permits?
Yep, I've applied to the DEC, Army Corps, and the Department of State,
Good.
and then,
Have you
It's-
heard back?
yeah, the only thing different was that we already had an existing permit for 11 Bayview Drive, which is the disposal site, and the DEC asked that we modify the permit to include the location for the dredge spoil,
Which is,
which is landward of, I think, your area, so,
it's fine.
yes.
So
So the
I'm-
boat basin is right there, you want to dredge.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And the other one is the other one on the,
To the left, on
yeah,
the west
those
side.
two.
No, no, right next to it,
So,
on the right side of the canal,
okay, all right.
Right here.
The smaller.
other side, sorry.
Thank
Right,
you.
actually, right, what's actually essentially right behind the boat basin. If you see the boat basin, the property is circled in red.
Okay.
Near O, in the village of Quogue. The O in the village of is actually on the disposal site. O.
Oh, on the middle lot.
Yes,
That's where it's going.
correct.
Okay.
So-
How are you going to get it there?
Well, actually, you can open up the fence, because he owns both properties, and just put it right through there.
Is that all wetlands there?
No,
Is from the, down to the shore?
no, that's a 50-foot buffer that was required by the New York State DEC.
Right, but you're in compliance of all that.
Yes.
Right, so we're just working on the dredge part of it.
Yeah, but
Correct.
I was wondering how he's going to get
Right.
the stuff over to there.
Well, there's a fence. You
He's
just
got a pump.
remove the fence. And then for the other project down the road, 35 Ogden Lane, the end of Bayview Drive, there's an entrance onto
So you're
that.
going to truck it over?
So it's
Yes,
going to be
That's what I
moved
was
by
asking.
truck, not
correct.
by...
Yes.
Watertight trucks?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, if they don't dry it on the site before they move it. Because there's not,
I think it's good.
I think it's.
on the other site, it's only 75 cubic yards.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Correct.
I'm just wondering how he's going to get it over
Yeah,
there.
When are you proposing to do this?
As soon as possible.
Are there any restrictions, like,
that would be the state's.
That would be the state,
That would be
and that would be the, winter flounder or some
That
other
would be on the other permits.
species that
Correct.
you would already have in your
We're
permit.
addressing those with the other
Yeah,
permit application.
yeah, so they're gonna give you a dredging window, and
Correct.
our permit would be the same as their
Excellent.
dredging window.
Yeah,
Right,
you
we
gotta
have to
comply
conform
with-
with all.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yep.
gotta comply with all the regulations.
Yep.
Correct.
I'm fine with both of those locations, both of these that he has on here. It's fine. They need to be dredged. He's got all the permits, he's doing the right thing, and they should advance.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
You good, Parrish?
Good.
Good. Okay.
Thank you for your time. Nice to see
thank you,
everybody
Mr. Hall.
in person
Yes,
again.
you too.
The next one I have is Andrew J. Burrell, 147 Dune Road, Village of Quogue, and that's Mr. Aaron Tertullian.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. My compliments to Mr. McRedmond on his new position and his choice of ties. My name is Aram Tertullian. I am the president of the First Coastal Corporation, West Hampton Beach, New York. I sit before you today with reference to Mr. Perel's project. This is a dredging project that serves 2 docks, and it's approximately 5,000 square feet in area and approximately 425 cubic yards of material. We have a communication, I believe, from President Horowitz regarding sensitivity to adjacent wetlands, and our response via email was to the effect that we recognize and appreciate that, and we have designed the project in such a way that there is a buffer between the wetland and the dredging channel, and that the side slopes of the dredging channel are at a 3-to-1 slope, which is the stable configuration for sand.
Do you want me to show or anything specific?
Yeah, would you please, there's the channel area and the cross-section. And you can see also denoted the marsh line as well as the mean high and mean low water lines. So we have a buffer distance of approximately 20 feet, I believe, between the edge of the marsh and the edge of the channel. And the edge of the channel slopes inward at a slope of 1 to 3 from that dark line.
Can you go back to the part that had the extended property lines? We're spanning 2 property owners here, right?
That's correct.
So we have the application. There you go.
Right.
We have the application from the one on the east, right?
Right, and the channel lies within the extension of the property lines.
Right, but I would say the only concern that I have, mathematically and slope-wise and project-wise, I think it would work out fine. My only concern is that the contractor that does this complies with those measurements. And the thought that I have relative to moving this thing forward is a simple thought, and that is that it could affect, if it's not done correctly, the wetland on both the east and the west side, and perhaps, since it could be an issue if not done right, maybe we should err to caution with one cycle and have a public hearing just to make sure everybody is aware what's going to go on there. That way, if, God forbid, something is not done correctly, we've fully examined this. I don't know, what is your thoughts on that, Aaron?
Oh, we certainly, if the board feels a public hearing is appropriate, then we will be happy to participate. The other thing that just popped into my head when you said, to make sure it's done correctly, we could have the channel itself staked out by a surveyor in advance with offsets so that they know where they're supposed to be dredging.
That would be helpful. That would be helpful. Do you have the other permits yet?
No, we do not.
Okay, so there's no harm. There's no harm in us having a public hearing just to, get all the facts into this file so that the decision that's made by the trustees, in coordination with your suggestion, I think is an excellent suggestion. I think would move this along, and I don't think it's gonna hinder the amount of time of the project getting done, because we're still waiting for other regulatory authorities.
Right.
I think that's the sensible thing to
And
do.
where's the disposable site again?
This is going to be trucked away to an upland source after it's dewatered.
It's gonna be dewatered on?
No, it's not, it's actually, no, we're going to have to do this by barge. We have no access to the land.
The trouble with a have on barge, that I would want it to be bonded, because in past history, we are looking at a case right now where it was put on a barge and it was not, and the rumor got it that it never made it to land, it got washed overboard.
Okay.
And so I'm very cautious, anything to put on a barge to be trucked away.
Uh-huh.
Trucked away is something else on the property, but when it's put on the barge, I'm very cautious on that.
Okay.
I would want some kind of bond on that, performance bond.
So I mean, the project and the scope and the mathematics, they look great, Aaron.
Good.
I concur with what it is you're saying. I just think that we need to just tread carefully, and I don't think it's gonna add any time onto your project, because we're still waiting on other regulatory authorities. I just think it'll be better for the board.
What's our timeline as far as public hearing?
We could have the notice of public hearing on for the March 21st meeting and hold the public hearing on April 4th.
Does that work for you?
Yes.
I think that's the most sensible thing. Mark McRedmond?
That sounds like a good time for me.
My only one concern is, I know in this area, the college, Stony Brook, has a very large oyster reef
He's gonna-
in this area. I would like to have them make sure that there's going to be no issues with siltation or the dredging process. I know it's not directly in line with the project, but it's pretty close proximity.
Yeah, do you know where that is?
James, I think it's further up in the canal,
East or west?
425.
west,
It's really not that much.
right where the next, right there, where the, right south of that, on the south, right there, in that area.
All right, so that's where the old bridge was?
Yes. There's an oyster reef there, so I'd just like to have, I want to make sure that they haven't put any of their, residual oysters anywheres in this area, because I know it
And
is a
and
certain.
who would I reach out to
See it
there?
right there.
Chris Gobler?
Okay.
This is it right here?
Yeah, you can see it right
Yep,
there.
that's it right there.
Oh, okay, all right, cool.
And we've had very good success with the oyster reef, some recruitment in the local substrate around the rocks and bulkheads, so it's been very successful. So I just want to make sure that they're, in on this whole public hearing process.
Okay, very good.
So I think it's a good plan forward.
Okay, and that was the notice on March 21st and the hearing on April 4th, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And
great.
I think that'll still work with your,
Yeah,
right?
we're getting our sediment sampling plan approved,
So-
so it's going to take a little time to
Right.
get that done anyway.
this way, I think it's good for the board to move in that direction, just.
And maybe we'll have our sampling results, you never know.
You could add that into your public hearing presentation. And you've always done a great job with your presentation, so.
Well, thank you.
Look forward to that.
You want to stay for the next one?
That'd be great if I could, thank you.
Next one is Keyser, 120 Willie Drive, North Sea, First Coastal. This is to reconstruct in place 160 feet of existing timber bulkhead using vinyl sheathing with a 10-foot buffer. Land of the bulkhead to be planted with American beach grass, 12 inches on center.
Thank you, Trustee Pell, Aram Terchuni, and First Coastal on behalf of the applicant. We have submitted revised plans both electronically and in hard copy to Mr. Durier to keep the existing, the proposed bulkhead at the level of the existing bulkhead, which I believe was a request that came from this board. And with that modification, we request that this be advanced.
I have one more question. You don't want any returns on this?
We don't show any returns.
No.
And I'm not, let me check the photos on the site.
This one goes right into a bulkhead that was replaced a little while ago. And
There's no bulkhead on the property.
to the south, so you might want to return there. It's heavily planted right now with a couple of trees that hold it. There's a good wetland in front of it, so it
It
has,
has a nice wetland, nice standard.
so you have to be careful when you do it. If you,
To the east and the west, there's healthy wetland as well.
yes, the whole floor is good wetland.
What was the rationale for not including,
That I cannot help you with. But there is an existing return on what appears to be the east side.
Yeah.
And on the west side, I can't tell because the property lines may be off. I don't know if this follows the property line or if
I did not
the
see a
return.
return there.
you
I
went down?
think, yeah, the property line.
It's pretty,
I think the return's on the other property according to that. Let me just check the survey.
Just tying into that structure?
Yeah, so, we couldn't go on to the other property. Yeah, there is return on the east. On the west, that return is actually on the other property.
So it just runs.
It just
it's
runs-
linear.
It's linear there,
linearly.
right.
so you're gonna connect to that.
Yeah, just they have to tie into what's there.
Okay, and you're confident with that?
Yeah, if it's a problem, we'll come back to the board and ask for a mod. But I would like to include the return on the east side, and I will have an amended drawing sent in.
And just update on the cover sheet as well.
Right,
I forgot, when I was speaking to Bill, I forgot to ask him about the return.
no problem.
Should have asked him. Sorry about that.
So you want to advance that pending the cover sheet and
I
plan?
think
Yes.
that's simple enough to
Yeah.
take care of, right?
It's a good project, because it's pretty steep, and get rid of that old creosote bulkhead.
So advanced subject to receiving that stuff.
Right, the cover sheet, bulkhead. Turn to east. All right, excellent. Thanks for the time.
Good,
Nice
thank
to
you.
see you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, thank you.
Also, just FYI, I dropped off a little present for James before I came in here. We have a 12-property living shoreline project that's in Murchis Bay in the Village West Hampton Dunes. It's been submitted to all the agencies. You're the first one to get it in actual hard copy. Everybody else.
Some present.
And also, we're just wrapping up the 8 project one that we did last year. All of the breakwaters are in place, as is the shoreline revetment. We're merely are going to cover that with sand and plant it this spring, and when we get it all done, we'd love to have you guys come visit.
That's what I was just going to ask, if we could do a site visit.
Yeah.
to coordinate.
I'll coordinate the time with James, I think, and we have some great time-lapse photos that we've been taking during the different storms, which really shows how well it works.
Great.
So this is this is 12 new properties.
12 new properties.
That's some
That's
present.
great. No, that's great.
Well, we're really, really proud of what it is, and we thank this board for their
Good,
help.
good for
Yeah.
you, too, to coordinate all of that, because that's a lot of pieces to put together to assemble 12.
Yeah, I'm as young as that little, as that oyster keeper.
Catching up to you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks very much.
Here,
The next one I have is 25 Waters Edge, Southampton. Owner is Emily Haywood. Mr. Innocence can come up himself. Hey, Jim.
Hello.
Hey, Jim.
This is handrails for handrails for a 4x12 ramp, a 4x12, 4x22 catwalk, and a 4x12 ramp.
Okay,
This is a lot of ramps. I was trying to figure this out.
this lady's in justice court. She got a violation. I got a phone call to ask to go down there and take a look. I went there. It's Tony Panzas dock, Bill. Town trustees had issued a permit to the dock. The lady bought the property and she put up handrails. She has kids. She wants to keep the handrails. So we submitted the fees, we submitted the application. I called up James Durier. I don't believe that there's any CCA involved, but Ed, maybe you know better.
I went down and looked, I didn't see any.
do we have any photos
I imagine.
somewhere?
We should have a whole bunch up there.
Need photos.
Did I submit any photos?
Yes, James has some. He pulled them up. They're up on the screen.
Nice to know somebody's quick on the
I
uptake
know,
here.
he's good.
So there it is.
He's had plenty of rest.
Yeah.
That's-
So basically, you just,
She put up handrails because she
yeah,
was,
you keeping what's there the exact size, you just put in new handrails.
yes.
Yes. I have no trouble with the handrails because there's kids, they are kind of heavy looking.
Yeah, heavy looking.
We could put a cover in, if she sells the house, or the kids could go on, the handrails have to come off. And also a covers that the float has to be stored upland, not on the wetlands.
That's a good thing.
Because right now, all the other neighbors have, their floats are in the water, hers are sitting on the wetlands.
What are the handrails made of? It looks like 2x4s and 2x6s?
Those
cedar.
are 1x6s.
They're 1x6s.
Ed,
5x4 by 6.
By 6?
Yeah.
They didn't have to be that wide.
No, they don't
No.
need
It's
to be
too
that wide.
wide.
We could have them cut down.
It's way too
By
wide.
5/4 would be
Yeah.
appropriate.
I mean, that's.
Oh, that's way better. See, that's,
More in
aesthetic-
scale.
Yeah, aesthetically, that's kind of not a good look.
No, it's
No, it's
wide,
very
it's too
heavy.
wide. I don't think
You can always do it with wire too.
need it that wide that's really wide.
Yeah.
That's
5/4
way too heavy.
5/4 by 4 would be fine.
Yeah.
And you're getting rid of half of the,
Still gonna have the same protection.
Yeah, or they can take a skill saw and cut it down.
I
That's
think
true.
property owners are surprised when they get in trouble for putting up handrails. The lady probably should have come back to the board and asked for a permit in any case, but cutting down 1x6s to 1x4s is, even I could do that.
I think they need to do
Yeah,
it,
but I mean,
because that's heavy.
You're in a small, that's Fish Cove, that's a small little area, and it's
I saw,
kind of jumps right in your face.
yeah.
The board wants to issue a permit and a condition on 1x4s.
Can you amend your,
Cover sheet?
yeah, can you amend?
And what is the middle one? Is that that looks like,
That's a 5/4 by 4.
that looks like 5/4 by 4.
Yeah, so if they cut a, inch or so off the board coming down and the flat piece, to make
Yeah.
it a
I mean,
5/4 by 4.
You want to go take a look at this and get tape measure and,
I really think it's kind of silly to go there and take a look at it, Scott. We've
That right there
commit
is
to
5/4 by
4-inch
6
wide
going
timber period, and that probably would.
to be fine with that? Trying to be as gentle as I can with you here.
Just have it all cut down to 5/4 by 4.
Yeah, that would cut down on the
And
view issue.
And the raft the float has to be stored upland, not on the wetlands, on off-season.
That's a standard thing, and I think that's fine.
James, can you zoom in on that picture a little bit?
Maybe.
That is wide.
The other way?
The other way, yeah.
I don't know.
Drop it down, drop it down a little bit.
Working on it. Oop.
That looks like treated lumber. I can't tell from here.
No, it's cedar,
It's cedar?
yeah.
Oh, it's turned? Okay.
I'm
That's
pretty
more-
sure it's cedar.
Yeah, it's all
Ed.
It doesn't look like
It-
treated lumber.
In any case, if you,
Spruce.
if you issue a permit that says the lady can have 4-inch wide timber and it can't be treated, somebody's gonna go there from the town and inspect it anyway. She's not gonna wanna go back to justice court. She had to hire a lawyer to do that. So condition it on 4-inch wide lumber that's not treated wood and.
Yeah, 5/4.
And put the float up in an upland location, period. And put it in a driveway.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's an easy thing to resolve. I think property owners are not aware of the trustees' regulations in a lot of cases, and that would take care of those issues.
Okay. So,
So you're gonna have new cover sheet with all that on there.
And a new cover sheet.
Give you something to do.
cover sheet. Is there drawings with this too? No.
I don't know if I submitted.
I don't think there is.
No, I didn't see any drawings.
Jim has another one with you, Ed,
Oh,
Simple.
but it's whether
Wanna
you want
get-
to.
No, I'm just saying that you want it to match if you didn't submit. Just saying if you had drawings that
Yeah.
you submitted, they should match the cover sheet, right? But you didn't
We
submit
have
drawings.
Tony Panza's old drawings. We did the permits.
Yeah, they're just the old drawings from the old permit.
So you want to include drawings showing the 5/4?
Simple sketch, Sean.
That way, when the bay constables, when someone goes down and does the inspection.
Like you said,
I don't know who
somebody,
you're gonna send down there, but.
We don't
if they have
know.
plans and a permit, that should,
That would make, yeah.
we did the plans
Yeah.
initially.
Yep, okay.
Did you want me to stay up here, or?
You're gonna advance that pending the
Pending his-
plans and the cover sheet.
here's what you call it, his cover sheet.
Yeah, go ahead with Ed.
I'll get them before the end of the week.
Okay.
You wanna-
Thanks, Jim.
We don't want you to keep on walking back and forth.
Yeah, okay. We'll bang this one the other way.
Now we're going to 30 Ocean View.
Yes, please.
Okay. Ed, you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay, this has been on for work session a couple of times, and I think I've looked back at the surveys that we have, and it appears to me that the top of the bulkhead should be at 9 feet, and that we're gonna plant behind it, and you have those plans in front of you.
Yep.
I think somewhere along the lines, I showed a bulkhead at elevation 12,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense, because the next door neighbor is at 9, and the existing grade behind the bulkhead is more or less 9, so bulkhead at 9 feet, tying into the other two bulkheads, one of which is in poor shape, going to the east. And I think that is all, Ed, except the last time I was in front of the board for work session, I believe I was cautioned that you would want to add the standard conditions for bulkhead replacement in Shinnecock Beach Road.
Yes.
You mean sand replenishment?
Whatever the board typically requires would probably.
Well, I mean, we have done covenants on properties that if the bulkhead ever interferes with the elevation, it would need to be sand replacement. There are a couple permits that we've issued in the time I've been on here that we have those covenants. You know about them, right, James?
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to dig them up and send them over to Jim? And we'll send them also to Mark, so he can look at them, because every single attorney that, the time I've been on the board, have their fingerprints on these covenants. So they've kind of evolved. Each attorney has a little bit of flair that they put into their
Do you want to
covenants.
explain Shinnecock Beach Road to
Well,
the benefit of
yeah,
Mark as well?
Yeah, Shinnecock Beach Road is basically a right-of-way roadway that goes from Fort Pond to Crab Road, which is just west of, east of Jackson's Marina. It's a 50-foot right-of-way from the high tide mark landward that goes into many properties along there that the easement encumbers. Some of the bulkheads, this application, the bulkhead is actually on the Shinnecock Beach Road. It's outside of their survey. If you look at the survey, this is the survey here, and this is Shinnecock Beach Road, and it actually is, their bulkhead and some of their property is Shinnecock Beach Road. It was given to us, deeded to us by the subdivision Shinnecock Hills in the late 1800s. So we hold this in trust for the people of the town. And being that the bulkhead is on it, and it could potentially cause negative effects, erosion on the beach, and affect the public passing way, that we've implemented covenants on on the properties to do sand replenishment if it ever so washes out, so the public can no longer pass and repass seaward of that bulkhead. So as far as the application goes.
It's a moving road, too. It
Yeah,
moves.
well, it moves, some properties are not fortified with bulkheads or rock revetments, so those property actually move landward. This particular property and some of the other ones with the bulkheads and rock revetments are basically, the bulkhead stops it from eroding. The application as it's presented is what we need. It's just getting the, covenants and CNR, covenant restrictions or.
So what do you want to do? You want to move it forward pending?
Yeah, well, I like to move it forward because we've been working on this for literally 6 or 8 months. But I would also like to, pending the review of the covenants by our attorney and Jim and his client.
So one step at a time, Scott. If we get that information, we'll go back to the client, and then we'll come back to the town and give you an update.
That's, yeah,
We'll get it for
One
you.
step at a time.
that's the way we usually do it, yep. All right,
So we're holding then.
we're holding until we
For
can
your-
get the,
Until you send me
Covenant?
legal documents.
Yeah.
Nothing to review.
Something to do.
We should be able to get that to you pretty quick.
yes,
Just gonna check it out.
Oh, that's fine.
yes.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jim.
Jim.
Thank you.
See you later. My last one is Timothy Brian Shannon, 85 Water's Edge, North Sea, Lang. Come on up.
Good to see everybody in person.
Yeah, absolutely.
You as well.
Taylor, starting from Beeline Associates, on behalf of the applicant. So what we have is sort of a standard dock setup. It's 44 and a half feet wide by 4 feet wide. Basically tried to design it to the best we could for the town code, for the trustees. So I don't know if you guys have any questions about it. I'm sure.
Can you bring that up?
Yes.
Is there any coverage on that property making a path through that?
What do you
down
want me to
the
bring
boat?
up?
We actually have a conservation board permit for a planting effort with a path.
With a
Yeah.
path, okay. So I see it with some easements on it. It's pretty straightforward. I'm fine with it, it's no handrails.
No handrails.
Want me to bring up plans?
Yes. And you also, can you bring up the picture of the water edge where it's going?
Yeah.
I want Ed to take a look at it. The upside down, yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor, do you just mind like reading the description of work?
Sure, yeah, I actually don't have a copy of it in front of me, unfortunately. But I have the DEC permit, so it's virtually the same.
Right click.
Only thing I'm worrying about, but he's not coming.
It's a new dock facility consisting of a 4x4, 44.5 through flow pier leading to a 3x12 ramp and 6x20 float. So it's really.
That's not in our jurisdiction, Bill.
No, it's not.
But it should be brought to the Conservation Board's attention.
What is that?
So let's show Mark that because,
There's, it's not in our jurisdiction. That looks like the property owner has put a bunch of, topsoil or mulch right to the
Right down to the water.
water, and that's, something that we found.
Maybe you
greatly
can,
upon.
Right,
That
and I
was
think
the-
that came up during the Conservation Board application process, and that's why that whole, there's like a 5,500 buffer that's not gonna be replanted.
So
and-
you're gonna,
you're there now.
you're gonna pull that back and you're gonna,
this
all
will be
right.
addressed before.
Right,
Yeah.
so
we
he's,
move
Okay.
on.
he's got, they're working on that.
Okay, then
Yeah,
good.
I wasn't really involved with that application. but-
Can you just send us a,
Sure.
paper on that it's gonna be addressed?
Yeah, of course.
That's important because a lot of nitrogen and, bad stuff in that mulch, ground up and arsenic and all that good stuff.
Right, of
needs
course.
to go into the bay.
Yes.
Mhm.
And give us a time frame on that, too.
I can probably get it to you in a day or two.
There's enough water here
Yes.
for this?
Yeah, and that's how we determine the length of dock, just to get to, 2.5 feet of water or whatever at low tide.
Okay. And is there a pier line in Fish Cove?
Not that I know of.
No.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
I think there's a 75-foot pier line in North Sea, but this is a different.
It's way up
body of
inside.
water.
James, you looked at this, right? Meeting the Blue Book
And
regulations?
it's extremely deep water right in front of that dock. There's almost like 25 feet of water.
It drops off pretty.
Yeah.
Right. And there's enough distance to the other side.
Yeah,
It's 500 feet to.
Yeah, do you think we should have a ladder at the end of that dock?
that would make sense to get, in case someone falls in.
Walls in,
For
yeah.
safety.
Sure.
A lot of turtles in there.
You can add that to the plans and the cover sheet, please.
Sure, yeah, of course.
So that's it?
Is that,
All right.
You
Sure.
advancing
yes,
Yes.
with it,
per the
Advance.
plans and cover
yes.
sheet.
Okay,
Yep.
great, yeah,
And
sure.
Conservation Board, do we put anything in about that?
No, Billy already asked him to
Addressed
say.
Yeah, he's gonna send it.
I'll get all that stuff to you guys, just so you'll be able to see it, and then the revised plans in less than a week.
Yeah.
hopefully.
I'll put
All right,
that in.
thank you so much,
Great.
everybody.
In the
Great, thank
file.
you, Taylor.
Thank you.
Next.
Where are we?
We're-
Jean Buckley?
James G. Buckley, 25 Common Point Drive, Hampton Bays, DKR Shores, Inc.
That's you, Gina. Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Gina?
So, this was a holdover in response to some comments from a prior meeting,
Yes.
in which we included, at my request, a 6x16 on-grade deck
Yep.
to store SUPs, kayaks.
Which is typical along that shoreline. Almost every home has an access to the bay, and either they're Hobie cats or paddle boards or
Right.
canoes, all stored in a very small decked area along there. Most of it is basically pavers with plantings in them, grass
Right.
plantings.
That's what
with-
they had before as a temporary repair. They had some of those, pavers.
That came about after Sandy because a lot of the bulkheads fell over. This one has the batten piles in front of it, which are going to be removed,
Yes,
and then that will be more beach for the public to walk on.
right.
Does
That was a
it-
temporary repair.
Yeah, it was.
For Sandy, so.
Does it have to say anything to that effect on the cover sheet that those batten piles are going to be removed? It doesn't, right, James?
No, but
Should
in every bulkhead project, all components of the old bulkhead are removed. So it's assumed in the description?
These are
that-
single and separate, and were
No, they're
added
not.
separately.
I didn't do that application.
No,
my
there was a separate
understanding.
permit, there was an
Oh.
original bulkhead, which was put there in the 80s.
Right.
And then they put the batten piles after Sandy, because many of the bulkheads were toppling over or had fallen over. They just wanted to secure this. So the whole in-kind in place, basically the bulkhead and the batten piles have to be removed.
Correct.
Because they're connected to the bulkhead. One thing I would really like to see is when it starts, when this process starts to bulkhead replacement, I like to be contacted, because the prior bulkheads along there, when they put the dead men were only about 2 feet long, and that's what caused the bulkheads to topple over.
Right.
When it overwashed, became liquid, and the tie rods and dead men literally just pulled out of the ground. I want to make sure
Okay.
that it's done
At least
properly,
6 yeah.
6 or 8 feet down.
Well, you get a notice of commencement sent into us, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, always.
So you
Yeah, I want to make sure that.
get your notification.
Okay, I'll put like a quick note to the contractor regardless,
Yeah, yes.
that, you know, you would like to be contacted, so I can just shoot you a quick email.
Yep.
About this.
Yeah, I want to make sure it's done properly this time.
Okay. And then, some other things had come up that Sean had brought up about, you know, this being in a cultural resource, historic district or something, so we got that clarified through planning.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put that on the record, that it was, not applicable to this project.
Thank you for that.
No problem.
So just circling back around to my concerns, James, do you mind bringing up a picture of this property so that people can see?
The aerial or the
No,
photos?
the photos, yeah, just so you can see what the restriction of public access is due to these upside down.
Well, there's this property here, and then there's one property north of that that has the same batten piles with a new bulkhead.
Oh,
There were 2 properties
Right,
that they did.
so that's why I'm thinking that it would be good to have clarification here that these will be removed and they are not to be replaced.
Special condition of the permit?
They're not going to be,
but
no.
yeah, you can't, I can't, they wouldn't be replaced, because
It's
if
not
I
on the
was going
plans.
to replace
The-
them,
the
it would
plans
be
that
part
are-
of the
that's
plans
why we
as a
have-
new batter pile,
If-
and that's not part of the plan.
Yeah, if you go through the
So they
plans.
physically,
It's not showing it. You'd be
It's not
adding
showing
things.
it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
would be
Violation,
adding
yeah.
things,
Understand.
like they wouldn't be
And
able
they
to
are,
be
and they're
replaced
definitely going to be
regardless.
replaced,
The whole
because
thing would come in and out.
they're
it's not
they're
permitted.
literally only a
exactly.
temporary structure.
Not permitted.
Hey, Ed, was it, we were down this property a long time, because I remember this property, we were talking about those stones. If you go back, you see the bricks behind the thing, let the
Yes.
water down.
Yes.
I think,
We
back when.
we permitted that.
Yeah,
that-
a long time ago.
Yes, it
For
was
the water to drain.
after Sandy.
These, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
because there was so much weight on these bulkheads, like Ed was saying. They were
Right.
coming over.
That's all coming out, obviously, you know.
Quite the project.
So you all, not to be kicking, but you all are comfortable, Bill, you're comfortable, and Mark, you're comfortable with the way this reads? That there's nothing that specifically states these will not go back in?
Well, it's not in the design plan,
It's
right?
not-
It's not in
it's
the,
not in
it's
the
not in the
plans.
permit. It's not permitted. If they put anything additional
No,
in there, there's no permit.
And there's no reason to have them there. There was only a temporary
Right, but
fix after
it's
Sandy.
8 years later, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, and they're going to go away because they're submitting a new application to have the bulkhead properly done this time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's the right thing to do,
Yeah, and
like Ed says.
it's right in my backyard.
Especially when you go
Right.
to
no,
walk
but it's,
there.
and it's not on the
Literally.
plans. It would not pass
Yeah.
inspection.
Exactly.
No, I would, I
Lawsuit.
I would not be in favor of permitting something like that.
No.
And we're
No,
not.
I understand
We're
that it's
not.
not going to be, but I just wanted to be sure, because there's nothing in writing.
Well,
It's
the
in,
plans don't show it, and the
So,
description
Dana,
doesn't show
Make
it.
Ian happy, put it in the plan that those poles will not be there, they'll be taken out.
It's not in there.
I could revise the cover
Yeah,
sheet,
just-
basically saying all components of the old bulkhead shall be removed.
right.
Is that okay? Because that,
Yeah, does that
that
satisfy
should
you?
cover
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make it a clean slate. That's when we
Great,
start.
thank you.
Okay.
They can leave the shells.
And then there's the videotape to look at, you know.
Yes.
It says they're leaving.
Right.
Yeah, but written word
It's
is always more
impossible
powerful.
to have them replaced without a permit.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
You
stay?
do 123?
Yeah, do you want me to stay for that?
Sure. If that's okay with everyone?
Go ahead.
So, I apologize for not attending the last meeting. This was on, I would have held it over regardless because I don't have a response back from the DEC as far as review. But I would, in favor, love your comments while I'm here.
So this is in reference to,
4-foot by 52-foot catwalk.
123 South Road. And that is in West Hampton.
I think the only question I had, and I went there with James this week, was why are we, is it necessary to do 52 feet as opposed to something shorter?
I think this was the shortened version, because as you can see, the property line actually goes out like into the cove. In order to actually have like a real dock with a real boat, like they would have to go out like 300 feet, and they don't want to pay for that. So, this was enough to get them through the muck and get to some water instead of destroying all the intertidal marsh that's there, and sinking in the muck in order to get into a kayak. So this was kind of this was the shortened version.
Was, okay, because we looked at the depths of the water, and they all seem to be fairly the same.
Right.
Throughout the 52 feet, and the blue book says you can go to a lesser amount.
It's
25
It's
feet.
more the muck rather than the water, because they actually would be like like 2 feet, knee deep in this stuff in order to get out there. So even though the water depths, you may see that, it's not necessarily about the water.
Mhm.
It's about getting through the marsh that is consistent right there, and not destroying it, and being able to get over that and into something surmisable as water.
The probably
But
was dug
like I
out
s-
years ago.
Yes, there was an old dock there
It
years
probably was,
ago that
yeah.
went out really, really far,
That could've
way
been-
out.
That could have been a duck farm or duck
Right.
years ago up in there, because that was pretty common. They dug back into the marsh, and you have all muck.
Mhm.
And that's.
Yeah, it's
they used to
really mucky,
Close it off
and
so the
it's
ducks.
some
wouldn't have to
stinky
kick.
stuff.
Is it out enough to get the kayak going?
Right, it's just enough to get
You need
into the
enough
water.
water to float the kayak.
Yeah,
Right, so you
need
get
enough
into
water to float
appreciable
the
water
kayak
depth.
and not destroy
depth at
the bottom one.
here?
And that's sand?
Yeah, it's only about, realistically, like a half an inch of water. And it's not sand, it's all
still
stinky
muck?
duck muck, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted them to go out further, but they wanted me to approach you with this, so, like I said, I don't have DEC review. I wanted them to go out further, but they didn't want to pay for it, so we'll see.
It's up to the board. As your blue book reads, it says that if no appreciable water depth, you bring it back to 25 feet. And
Yeah.
it's not at that, so up to you guys.
Yeah, 25 feet would be pointless, why even bother
Yeah,
having it
plus
go
if
out
someone
if we
gets
just
off
can.
and they sink down a knee,
Yeah.
you could get stuck.
That was my only question. I'm okay with it otherwise.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'd like to hold it over because I need
Hold
to
it
get
over.
comments from the other agencies.
Hold it over.
First,
Yeah,
before we proceed.
yeah, that's
They'll
smart.
probably ask
Yeah.
to go out a little bit.
They're probably
further.
gonna say the same thing. There's no appreciable depth either. Don't have a dock at all or make it longer.
Yeah,
That's what they're probably going to say,
I think you should hold it.
honestly.
Yeah. All right, well, let's see what the
James,
other.
Can you do an overhead shot to see where, you can tell by the water where it gets steeper?
is there a deeper spot, just, I think that's to the west?
Yeah, but that's like 300 feet long. Do you know what I mean? Like out by the bridge?
Yeah, that's a difficult, it's pretty much all shallow there.
Yeah, it's all shallow till you get to the end. so
Right there, you can see the
Yes.
water. Yep, that's the dredge channel there.
So it's like I said, it's basically just to get to enough water to launch a kayak,
Yep.
instead of walking through the muck and destroying everything that's, the bottom line that's there.
I think you should hold it.
Yeah,
pending
but we're gonna have
more
we're gonna hold
information.
it. Let's see if it, see what goes through the state. I didn't even submit Corps of Engineers and the permit of seat yet because I don't know what the DEC is gonna say, so. Okay?
Thank you.
I'll hold it over.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
when I do get the DEC permit, I'll forward it like I did the one I sent the other day, and then we can proceed after that. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Take
See you.
good care.
Okay, so we've got Stephen Hickey.
Stephen Hickey, 1377 Meadow Lane, Village of Southampton. Zen Consultants here.
Anyone representing 1377 Meadow Lane?
What is it?
It's on the west of D Road. There's two dug lagoons, and it's a catwalk over the meadow to about 1.5 feet into the dug lagoon for a kayak access. It's pretty much simple and straightforward.
Is it meeting Blue Book compliance?
It's all Blue Book compliance. So here's the area in question with the dock. This is where they want to go out to here.
There's
to the
other
dug-
docks like
There,
this?
there's a dock identical
Just issued one.
right there. Just east
to
of
the
it.
Oh, east. So this is just to the east of Road D in that Dug Lagoon, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's just stairs. It's, catwalk to stairs.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. It's all light penetrating decking. Remove the existing 5.5
Hey, James, can you go
foot by
back that
15
picture?
fixed platform and construct a fixed timber kayak dock consisting of a 4x46 raised fixed timber catwalk constructed entirely of untreated materials, include light penetrating open grade decking to a 4x8 stairs at the seaward end as depicted in the project plans prepared by N Consultants dated September 23rd, 2021. So this dock that's here now is going to be removed, and then they're going to raise it up, put light penetrating decking there. So it's all compliant, what we need, right, James?
Yeah.
I think it could
they
advance.
said They're removing this, putting
Yep.
the light penetrating deck
Yep.
I think you're
out,
good.
and then staircase at the end when they
You
get
need
to the
a
water.
access going over along the beach?
No,
Private
it's
property.
all wetlands there, Billy.
Right.
I think it's
I
good.
remember years ago, they tried to get a permit to go, for a dock to go over that to the other side. You remember
Yes,
that?
we
I think
denied
Fred-
it.
Yeah, with Fred.
Oh.
I don't know if it's the same
I
property.
think this beats the Blue Book, so I think it
Yeah,
could advance.
it's good to advance. Okay?
Good. Advance.
You've one more, Ed?
Yeah.
Twenty-two Bay Drive.
22 Bay Drive. We've been holding this for a while. Let's see.
Nobody's here to support it.
I think there was a change that we needed made. I think if they've made the
Yeah.
clarification, I think that was all that we asked for. on
Yeah, well, I'll read you the application. The application is being made to build and install a 96-foot by 4-foot wide pier constructed using non-treated lumber for superstructure. The vinyl grade open decking, 60% light penetration. Pier will be supported using non-treated tropical pilings, galvanized timber bolts, and hardware to be used to secure all attachment points. Cross spacing will be installed using non-treated tropical lumber. A 6x20 float will be installed at the leading edge of the pier, connected by a 3x16 aluminum ramp to give access to boating and kayaking. The float will be built using non-treated lumber and plastic foam filled with drums, secured using 2 tropical pilings with galvanized piling hoops. There will be a pass and repass steps for the public to pass and repass. Float and ramp will be removed and installed seasonally. That would be on the 1st of, I believe, when we have, was it the 1st of April?
That was the only thing that held this up last time.
Yeah, so basically,
He's done it.
we asked them, everything was good except for the removal of the ramp and float and storage seasonally upland. So we've been given everything that we asked for.
This could advance.
So,
Just a question. Plastic foam-filled float drums.
Yeah.
That's what's usually used?
there are tubes with air in them, but these plastic foam float drums are basically, they're like 1/4-inch poly plastic with like a regular styrofoam float in there. And they're pretty much standard on
Standard.
docks.
Okay.
I personally don't like them because they keep the dock very high and unstable out of the water, where the old traditional styrofoam kept it lower to the water and was more stable. But that's what they use now because it doesn't get the styrofoam doesn't get eaten up by the barnacles
Right,
and everything.
it lasts a little longer.
Lasts a little longer.
Yeah, it's
so-
fine. He
so-
did everything that we
Yep.
asked him to do,
Yep.
so this can advance.
So we can advance it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm next.
Yes, Jan, you are next.
Mr. Whitty or Mr. Mr. Whitty. This is application 43 Noyak Harbor Road. Mr. Patrick Whitty
Yes. Hi, good
is
morning.
here representing this application. We've reviewed this on several meetings. This was, do you want to give the background on it, just so that we have, just.
Yeah, we
you
had,
have-
we had submitted, we had actually had an approved permit, and there was an existing dock there years ago that some of the people in the community had actually took it upon themselves to remove it. I think it had been heaved up by frost, by the ice or something, but, so we'd applied, we got a permit, but we were waiting to get all the other permits in place, and it took like 3 years to get the rest of the permits. And I kind of fell through the cracks and let this one expire too long, so I had to reapply. We submitted, at the last meeting, we discussed adding, putting that setback in there. It looked like it was a little bit close, that 10-foot setback.
Yeah.
We added that in there, had the surveyor look at that, also had the Matt Ivins from
Suffolk Environmental.
Suffolk Environmental, actually also did the same thing, so, and we put the railing on the ramp as requested. So those are the two things that we were asked to update the survey, locate the, show the setback. We were at 10.4, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. 10 is 10.
10 is, yeah.
10.
You're good.
It works.
Right.
So I think and then we got the rail, I think we got everything
You did.
guys requested, so.
Okay.
It's ready to advance.
So it sounds good to
I
move
believe so.
Okay,
Yes.
let's advance.
Okay,
forward. All right.
so,
Great. So it's renewed annually.
yes,
If you
no,
don't-
well, listen, if I get this permit, and I'm putting the pedal to the metal, we're not messing around.
I can't blame you.
Yeah, it's approved for, it's going on for the next general
Right.
meeting,
We'll advance it for resolution on the
So-
21st.
21st.
March 21st, it will be approved, and then you can check in afterwards with the office to see
Okay.
when we
In the
get the
meantime, I'll get a
paperwork.
dock builder on board.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can renew it for several times, but
Now,
we
we're gonna-
understand that you're,
4 more.
Hoping we don't have to do that,
yes.
but I appreciate it.
Just so you know.
Thanks for coming down, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks
Take
again,
good
thank
care.
you.
Did you sign in, Mr. Woody?
I did
If
not.
you, just here
Sign
on
in
the
here.
sheet, if you just sign your name,
Yes, sorry about that.
that'd be great. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you, take good care.
home stretch here. We've got the Joy Fishman Revocable Trust, 92418. 46 Basket Neck Lane, Remsenburg. I got Mr. Glenn Just from JMO.
Good morning, folks.
Who was the
Good
first
morning,
one
sir.
here this morning?
Of course, you didn't, with no donuts.
Thank
No,
you.
next time, I guess.
Thank you for your patience, Glenn.
No whatsoever. Got a good education. Listen to what's going on.
This has been on before. We had some questions last time and some requests to modify. I'll just read in the permit application. Applicant proposes to reconstruct in place and up to 18 inches higher in elevation, approximately 178 feet of timber bulkhead with navy-style vinyl sheathing. Reconstruct in place and up to 18-inch higher in elevation, 2 timber returns, 10-foot and 20-foot respectively, with vinyl sheathing. To dredge a 5 by 178-foot area immediately seaward of the reconstructed bulkhead to a depth of -2 MLW, mean low water. The resultant spoil, approximately 25 cubic yards of sand, will be used as backfill for the reconstructed bulkhead to construct a 4-foot by 174-foot timber boardwalk immediately landward of the reconstructed bulkhead, and then to plant beach grass and/or spartina patens a minimum of 10 feet landward of the reconstructed bulkhead and all construction disturbed areas within 25 feet landward of the reconstructed bulkhead. no treated timber to be used.
So, we did receive the new one that you guys had talked to him about the 85-foot walkway. 4 by 85-foot timber boardwalk. You have the incorrect one.
That was the discussion at the last meeting.
Oh, this was one that was
The
stamped as
bulkhead,
February
the
16th.
Yeah,
Walk
so
right
the
behind the
new one
bulkhead,
should
yeah.
be in that folder.
Okay, so the new one, I see, the new one,
So the newest one is always in that folder, should be. So it should say 4 by 80 foot. I have it on the screen as well.
yeah, 4 by 85 feet.
Yep. So, that's what, remember when we discussed it?
Yep.
You had said that there was,
Yeah, the change was made.
so he reduced the size of the boardwalk as requested by the board, I believe. I wasn't here, but by the board, so.
And there was a question also with the returns on the, I think it's the west side?
Beg your pardon?
The returns on the west side, is it?
There is a,
What was the elevation differential?
This was the elevation.
How are you gonna
differential.
handle the elevation?
there's a 10-foot return on the west side and a 20-foot return on the east side.
Yep, and at the west side, there was a discussion that we were going to keep it at no higher than 18 inches.
Up to 18 inches right across the entire way. There was some thought, perhaps ramping it down a little bit. I just can't see physically how that would work. So we'd rather just keep it to 18 inches right across.
So,
The one to the east, as you can see in the background.
way high.
That's
4 feet.
At least, if
Yeah,
not more.
that's like 4 feet difference.
Yeah.
And then, do you have a picture that shows further landward so you can see the topography of this property?
That's it.
It is getting over top.
What, an aerial?
Yeah, you can see it's a lot higher
Yeah.
further up.
Yep, slopes down from the edge of the lawn.
Right. And you're gonna be doing some reclamation dredging there as well, pulling back that material?
I think he meets everything that we discussed last
Right.
time.
Edward?
It's good.
Ann? Billy?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Just,
Be well,
Thank
folks.
you.
Thank
for
you,
coming
you too.
in advance.
in. Are you making out down at Sabonic Inlet with that permit?
With the what?
The permit down at Sabonic Inlet?
I'm playing around with it again. I was there this weekend. I'm going there right now as well.
Okay, have lunch.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Next day.
Take care, Jim.
Okay, so the next one that we have is 152 Dune Road,
152 Dune Road.
Abdullah A. Barangi. Hello.
Donna Myers from Shore Solutions.
Hey, Donna, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm getting over a cold, so.
Oh, thank you for
But I
being
had it-
considerate.
I had it 2 weeks ago, more than that.
Ma'am, did I miss something? Are you here for something?
I'm here to try to get a license agreement for my paddleboard business, and I wasn't, Sean Cambridge told me to come, but then I realized I wasn't on the schedule, so I was hoping to just go at the end.
I'm good at 5 minutes.
All right, well, let's deal with,
This is the
Oh, Donna
modification.
first.
Donna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be quick.
We filed an amendment to include a boardwalk. We already had a permit to replace the bulkhead, and they decided they wanted a boardwalk. So we did a 4-foot boardwalk. And-
Along the bulkhead?
Mhm, landward. And what another change was,
James,
What would you like, the aerial?
yeah, where the dock is, where the boardwalk's gonna be. And get it, it's not upside down, that's good.
and the other change is the surveyor made a mistake and said that there was 3.8 feet of vinyl bulkhead over on the west side that encroached the property. And I questioned them about it numerous times, and they said, nope, that's, that's where the corner is. So we had them stake it out, and that's when they said, oh yeah, we made a mistake. So we had to add 3.8 feet of bulkhead to the plan. See, there's vinyl on the west bulkhead.
Yep.
So he had said the corner of the vinyl was 3.8 encroaching, so we said, well, there's no sense, replacing that at $800 a foot, whatever it is. So we added, now it is true to what the property looks like.
We went and looked at that, James and I, that was one of the inspections we did. That area is still open right now. You've done all the other work for the replacement of the bulkhead, correct?
Yeah, I think they started the bulkhead, they had that permit. Mhm.
Right. So it was just adding the 3.8.
Right, it's really just like a technical,
Tweaking.
yeah.
James, we're all good?
How long
Yeah.
is that span of bulkhead? I'm so sorry.
118 or something like that?
118.5.
Yeah, 118.5. So.
Which includes
is- I don't think there's no issue with adding the 3 feet. I don't.
No.
Or, sorry, increase it by 3 feet, right? Because.
It was 3.8.
They don't wanna, so I don't think there's any
Just
issue.
corrected, it was just a survey error.
The boardwalk is what you guys really need to look at.
Yeah.
Whether you allow the whole thing to be boardwalk or whatever.
Is it Blue Book compliant now?
We've been attempting to reduce linear feet of of walkway along boardwalks.
Behind
to-
bulkheads.
Behind bulkheads when they're being replaced. So we've been looking at 30 to 50% of the bulkhead length rather than the entire stretch.
That's not in the Blue Book, though. That's subjective. I mean.
They
you've been
wanted
do-
it for safety, excuse me.
No, you've been doing this for a long time, so you understand that there's a benefit to deep-rooted, vegetation on the landward side of bulkheads, that helps secure the land in overtopping storm situations. So we're trying to, work with landowners to be good stewards of, mitigating some of that overtopping negativity that occurs, fully understanding that in order for that to be successful, they've got to be good stewards of that piece of property, of that, otherwise it doesn't work. So, that being said, is there a plan that you think would be agreeable to your clients that would take that into consideration, the benefits to their property and the environment, in balancing out their concerns about use of the bulkheaded area along the waterfront? Is there?
Okay, the owners added the boardwalk, because they have an elderly mom that comes out, and they wanted it for safety purposes. That's what again, they're using the pass and repass steps so she can get into the water. Originally, we had the entire buffer planted that was one of the mods that you requested. Except for a 20-foot section over by where if you see 20 foot to the, underneath the walkway that goes out to the stairs, that's gonna be sand, so that they have a plethora of, stand-up paddle boards and sunfishes and kayaks, so they wanna leave a 20-foot section free so they can get their boats into and out of the water. And they're not raising the top of the bulkhead. So as far as the overwash, I think it actually would be beneficial to have a boardwalk there for safety purposes, and then have the planted buffer upland of that, so there's no scouring behind the bulkhead when there is overtopping.
So do you have a plan depicting that?
Yeah, the plans show the planting.
I can't see that from here.
Oh, there's a cross view. Oops. And then I think I did another cross view with where I put green on where the planting is. See, there's a 4-foot boardwalk and a 6-foot planted buffer. And there's is there a third page on that one? There's the green, you see the plantings?
So that's great, that there is the 6-foot, but also to look to address the shortening or the condensing of that stretch of boardwalk in addition would be something that would be important.
So, as you said, it's not in the blue book, and this has been back and forth already a lot of times. What would you want, the no boardwalk over on the west side or something?
So you have 20 feet right now that's to be sand near the ramp? Is that?
Right, and then the
that
rest
still-
is planted.
Is that still staying? So is the walkway to be along there, or is that just to be sand?
Yes.
So
It's
there's-
gonna be a boardwalk along the whole thing. So this way, when the mom goes down, it's, short footing. And then there's an existing pier there with the steps that you can get into the water.
Access steps, sure.
Trustee Parish, do you have any thoughts on this?
I'm taking this all in. This is, I'm not quite sure why, if it's not in the blue book, why we can, insist on shortening the boardwalk. It's my own view.
Well, that's where I think that the success in something like this is, I think, best observed through the educational process and people, understanding that they need to be, good stewards of their own property and protect the environment at the same time. And that's why I approach it in that manner with you, Enforcement's always problematic, and maintaining native vegetation sometimes doesn't work out the way you think it's gonna work out, for various reasons. And I think that, the component of education and an understanding by the property owner is really key for that to be, making sense for what we're trying to accomplish here. And that's why I find it helpful, to work with the folks so that there's a good balance that makes sense for everybody.
Maybe we can find a compromise.
That's why I'm just saying, because Trustee Parish, brings up an excellent point.
We can't enforce it.
Right, so, and even if you had mandated it, it's difficult to enforce and keep these things running, and
We
it does.
can't hold people hostage either, Scott.
I understand, and that's why I think that the educational component, and I think that the homeowner's participation in the stewardship and understanding of it is important.
Well,
for it
they
to work
did
out.
add plantings.
I understand,
Yeah.
I understand, I'm just trying to have the conversation here so that we can arrive at a good decision that everybody's happy with and is compliant with our regulations, works for the environment, and kind of, has involvement, from the homeowners, not trying to single you out, just trying to work with you.
I think the boardwalk would be beneficial with the overtopping, because it does get some wave action there. And this way it wouldn't scour behind the bulkhead, in that point.
I mean, in
It is a-
reality, that you could have come in with a 10-foot wide deck all the way down, so you're taking 60% of it up with
With the plantings.
vegetation.
I think you
So
are, I think it is
we've
pretty balanced on this
I think
case.
We've accomplished somewhat what we said. I mean, moving forward, if we want to, basically mandate a specific amount of decking behind a bulkhead, we should have a public hearing and put it through the process and come up with a good formula so that we can say, this is what you get, and give it to the consultant, so we don't have to go back and forth like this all the time.
Right, I think that's what
I
really
mean,
has to happen,
yeah,
you're
I mean,
right.
I think in the long run, it would benefit us
Right.
and would benefit the process, and make it easier on everybody.
It would 100% benefit the process, and furthermore, I think that the educational component in this is key, because you can go to example after example where there's been mandates, but there's no maintenance of what has been mandated, and therefore the benefits are non-existent. So, if people, can understand the benefits and embrace that, you're gonna get your best result. So, education is key.
Well, they're redoing the vegetation or the gardens in the whole area. And they're hiring, a company that will do the planting, so you know that they're going to survive.
Right, so, right, I got you, so you have a good plan here then, is what you're saying.
So just to be clear then, if we are not reducing the length of the walkway, then can it please be covenanted that these plantings are native, non-fertilized, no mow, and no irrigate after the second season?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I have that on there.
Because that's all a critical part of the homeowners being good stewards of the environment.
Well, how many times you go back to a mitigated project and
I know,
you know it as well.
I've seen it, unfortunately, unless we have it in black and white in our rules in our blue book, the bay constables or whoever's going to write a violation can't enforce it. It's more of a, educational proponent that the homeowner wanted to do.
But even when they're in the town's code and Conservation Board for mitigation, have there or have there not been times when they've been eliminated?
They have, more times than I.
There you go. That's the sad truth.
You can't
That's
see
where
the
the
whole,
education comes in.
on the upper right-hand corner is the planting guide. So these type plants are not gonna be mowed. They are, bushes and,
Groundsel bushes and
you
stuff
know,
like that.
beach plum and serviceberry, high bush, blueberry, beach rose, sweet pepper bush, and then
Yeah,
there's-
the normal
they're not
plants
gonna
that'd
be
be around a marine
mowed.
environment, so yeah.
Okay.
So she could advance.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think that,
I think you've met the tests of the Blue Book.
yes.
I think you've done a better job than a lot of people have.
And thank you for
Thank you.
putting the planting schematics on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've done a more
Give
thorough
us.
job than a lot of people have done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay, have a good.
All right.
spring. Wait for spring, right?
Yes.
that's today.
Since
I walk
since it's our first day back, and you've been waiting there patiently, you can step up to the desk here, and we'll have a conversation. And then we'll have a talk with Sean Cambridge later.
Need a form, though. In the long term.
All right.
Otherwise, I'll get tired.
Would you like me to sign in?
Yes, and state your
Okay.
name for the record, please.
Jessica Bellafato. And so I run a paddleboard business, paddleboard yoga business called JB Yoga.
Excuse me, I see you have the blue boards.
Yes, well, now they're yellow.
Okay.
You gotta get up
But
there.
they've been blue for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was told in the past that there was no such permit for paddleboarding, and I've been kind of all over the place. I'm in East Hampton, I'm in Southampton, and most of my clientele happens to be in Southampton. So I was using Noyak Bay Avenue for a while. Anyway, I spoke to Sean Cambridge this season finally about getting some sort of license agreement, because I guess there's no permit technically available. And he suggested a Trustee Beach would be a good option for me. And it's mostly kids, so Circle Beach, in my understanding,
We
is a
own,
Trustee Beach.
right, we own Circle Beach.
Which is nice because it has the marina side option for them when it's often windy, too windy.
You have
on
Mill
the-
Creek
on
and
the
you have
bays.
Noyak Bay. Yes.
Right.
So the one thing that's tricky about that is that the Parks and Rec Department manages that in
Okay.
the summer for us.
Okay.
So your clients are gonna have to have Southampton Town stickers.
Stickers, right, that I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's not a problem,
No, they're mostly Southampton Town residents. for the
or they
most
could
part.
carpool if they're not.
Right.
Do you have any documents, did you provide, Mr. Cambridge, any?
Do we have any working agreement?
Yeah, any information?
Mark.
He referred me to this.
No, I know, but she said he spoke to.
Yeah.
You have it now?
I was on a Zoom meeting
Okay.
a while back,
Yeah,
actually.
I remember,
Yeah.
yes.
I sent you the license
And
agreement
then I-
application, right?
Yes, so I have that. It's not completely filled out yet. It's been a long winter. But I have most of it. I don't have the notarized thing yet. I do have liability insurance, et cetera. Not sure what, I know there's a $500 non-refundable application fee, blah, blah, blah. So I can provide the rest. Sean messaged me and he said, just come to the working meeting. I'm like, okay. So here I am 2 hours
So,
later.
all right, so if you could continue the process, but with Mark McRedmond.
Okay.
And then dot all the i's and cross all the t's, and then it'll come to the board as
Okay.
a working agreement that we could, look at and discuss, then we could, I think, move to the next.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Sorry. How many only because? So this is a move from a fairly expansive parking area at Long Beach to a heavily used residential community
yep.
of Pine Neck with
Yep.
limited parking.
Yep.
How many cars are usually there?
My camps, other than COVID summer, which was insane, are fairly small. So on average, it's 8 to 10 children. Often it's a pair of siblings, whatever, and they're doing drop-off,
Right.
and then they're doing pickup.
But-
And they're not, generally speaking, they're not hanging around and trying to park at the beach for 3.5, 3
And
hours.
they're going to be town-permitted vehicles.
Right.
Right, but how many instructors do you have? Like, how many vehicles will
Two.
be there for?
Me and one other,
Okay.
yeah.
And you can
Because-
carpool.
I think
Yeah.
maybe that should be something that we consider as part of this, because otherwise, there's gonna be big pushback from that community, because there's already been parking garbage complaints in that area.
Okay.
If you did a beach cleanup now and then
Yeah.
as part of the camp, that would be huge.
Yeah, I actually did want to include that as part of the camp.
Yeah,
for
that,
sure.
like, that would be really helpful. Anything you can do to build goodwill
Yeah.
down there would be really helpful.
I used to live over in that community.
Okay,
Not-
that's
not-
good.
But that was years ago. And the camp is also only a half a day, it's 3.5 hours, and it's only runs Monday through Thursday, so we're not there on the weekends.
Okay,
We're not there when it's
Yeah.
busier. We're not there on Friday,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kids, you camp for kids, it's all good. I think that you just need to dot the i's and cross the
Okay.
t's with council over here.
Okay.
And then we could go to the
Okay.
next step.
And there,
All right,
and there are notaries in our office if you need stuff notarized.
Here,
I'm a notary.
okay.
I can help you. Yeah.
Yes, so,
That'll
yeah.
cross off one T.
Yeah,
Thank you.
all right.
Okay, thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we do have an executive session planned,
Yeah.
okay?
What time
Where are
is
we
that?
doing that?
Right here.
Here.
Take a 2-minute break?
Yeah, we can take a 2-minute break.
With Dan Carr?
Well, Dan's coming in later. We got several executive sessions going on today for discussions.
Actually, there's someone named Lisa in our office downstairs. She's also in.
All right, well, wait, hang on a second there,
So just
Trustee
look for the
Parrish.
trustee's office.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
All right.
All right, so.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yes,
care.
yeah. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make a motion to adjourn this meeting and go into an executive session for the purposes of discussing litigation and personnel.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay.